Hello there. You're about to listen to 4 different scary stories I wrote. Get yourself comfortable, and by the end, let me know which one is your favorite. I'm here now. I'm here now. I'm here now. Those were the last words I remember Sky X Will saying on that fateful night. My name is Ryan, and I was with him. My friend, known to his 111 subscribers as Sky X Will from his channel Sky is the Limit X, was desperate to grow his channel. Despite trying various content, he struggled to find his niche. On July 11, Sky X Will started brainstorming new ideas around 9 p.m. He spent hours scouring the internet for inspiration. At exactly 3 a.m., he stumbled upon a video recommended by YouTube's FYP titled, "Venturing into the Unknown and Forbidden Places in My Local Area." The video had over 3,000 views within an hour, and the channel had more than 7,000 subscribers. Excited by the potential, Sky X Will studied the channel. It focused on exploring abandoned and haunted locations, captivating viewers with the thrill of the unknown. Convinced this was his ticket to success, he called me to join him on this new adventure. The next day we searched for haunted places in our area, 2H City, but found nothing. Determined, we went into town, asking people about any mysterious activities. Most people looked puzzled and asked why we were curious. We told them it was for a school project. After a long day with no leads, we sat under a large mango tree, exhausted. As we rested, we noticed carved words on one of the branches. "Don't say I'm here," repeated 3 times. Excited by our find, we decided to investigate further. That night, at exactly 11 p.m., we packed our gear and headed to the tree. The night was dark and cold, adding to the eerie atmosphere. We set up our cameras to capture everything around us and stood under the tree, flashlights illuminating the carvings. Sky X Will began chanting, "I'm here. I'm here." Suddenly, my flashlight caught another carving. "Please don't say it." I warned him about the potential danger, but he was determined. He continued the chant, "I'm here. I'm here. I'm here." All our lights went off for a few seconds. When they came back on, Sky X Will was gone. I called out for him, but there was no answer. Fear gripped me, and I ran home, leaving everything behind. Days later, I mustered the courage to check the camera footage. What I saw was unimaginable. The footage showed a dark figure emerging from the shadows, grabbing Sky X Will and dragging him away. The look of terror on his face haunted me. Months passed before I posted the video on Sky X Will's channel, Sky is the Limit X. I wanted to alert people about the dangers out there. No one should be out in the night looking for trouble, or they could become another victim like Sky X Will. The video quickly went viral, but sadly, people didn't believe what they saw. They dismissed the warning title I gave, saying some places are forbidden for a reason, and saw the whole thing as one great acting job by Sky X Will. They still believe he's behind all this, that nothing bad actually happened to him. I tried my best to show the real side of everything to the audience, but they were hell-bent on thinking it's just an act. Well, personally, I don't blame them for not believing what they see, because most things on the internet aren't real but just acting. So no, I don't blame them. To me personally, I'm left with the feeling of guilt and worries whenever I remember the thing that we went through that night and where exactly my friend could be. Sometimes I even get tempted to go and chant the same thing to see if it'll take me to where he is, but I just cower away in fear. It has been 3 years now since this event took place, and this is my story to those who are interested in going to forbidden places. Jake and I had been planning our hiking trip for months. The idea of exploring remote mountain trails away from the busy city was exciting. The day finally came and we set off early with our backpacks filled with supplies, including our water bottles. We always carried our own water. As dusk approached, we found a small clearing with a few sheds. Some strangers emerged, smiling in a strangely friendly way. "Stay with us for the night," one of them said, smiling. "The mountain isn't safe after dark." We were tired and didn't want to sleep outside, so we accepted their offer. That evening, they made a big feast. The food looked great, and the water they offered was clear. But Jake and I drank only from our own bottles, as we always did. As night fell, the strangers led us to a small shed to rest. Even though they were kind, I felt something was off. The air felt heavy with tension. Late at night, I woke up to whispering. Curious, I crept to the door and peeked out. What I heard made my blood run cold. "We shall eat them tonight," one of the figures hissed, their human disguise slipping to reveal something monstrous beneath. Heart pounding, I quickly woke Jake. Together, we watched in horror as the creatures, now showing their true forms, started preparing a fire, dancing around it in a sinister way, mimicking the motions of slitting throats and stabbing. We realized we were in danger. Jake and I quietly slipped out of the shed while the creatures were distracted. We ran through the dark forest, the creatures chasing us with unnatural speed. Branches and thorns tore at our skin, but adrenaline kept us moving. We ran for what felt like hours, the sounds of our pursuers slowly fading away. Finally, we emerged from the forest, bruised and bleeding, but alive. We made our way to a nearby town and went straight to the police station, desperate for help. But as we told our story to the officer on duty, our hearts sank. The officer's eyes had that same unsettling glint. He leaned forward, smiling that same unnerving smile we had seen before. "Welcome back," he said softly. "You guys really shouldn't have come back." It hit us like a ton of bricks. We had escaped the mountain, but the nightmare had followed us. The things were not done with us yet. I quickly pushed the officer to the floor and ran off with Jake. But to our surprise, no one chased us from the police department. We ran until we reached a bus station in the town and waited for the bus to arrive so we could get out of there. Hours passed until it finally arrived. During that time, Jake and I were on high alert, not trusting anyone. We finally reached our own town and headed home. We told our story to the media, friends, and family. But since that day, Jake and I have always been suspicious of everyone around us. Not knowing who is who, we lived our lives very carefully. In my African household, elders often warned me about my habit of whistling at night. They said it could draw the attention of a zamafi, a spirit that roams the night and steals the voices of anyone who whistles. Despite their warnings, I never believed in spiritual stuff. Unfortunately, I had to learn the hard way. It was one fateful night when I was coming back from a party around 11 p.m. I was so lost in my enjoyment that I forgot about the time. When the party finally ended, I checked my watch and realized how late it was. With no cars or motorbikes available, I decided to walk home, something I had never done before. The long road had an eerie vibe, and I was the only one on it. To pass the time, I kept singing my favorite song on loop. As I neared my house just a few blocks away, I became excited and relieved. I started singing and whistling the lyrics aloud. For a while, nothing happened. But as I reached a certain location under the big mango tree on the road, I heard an owl hooting. As all Africans know, hearing an owl at night means something odd is around. Although I believed in this, I had never encountered anything before, despite my nighttime singing and whistling. I stopped singing and whistling altogether. I took a step to start running home, but to my unimaginable surprise, I couldn't move my leg forward. I became as still as a statue. I started hearing footsteps coming towards me. I forced myself to turn my head and see what or who it was, but no part of my body would move. The footsteps got closer, the air became colder, and the owl's hoots grew louder. I was the only one on the road. Such an unlucky situation. Finally, the spirit stood in front of me, and the owl stopped hooting. The whole place became dead silent. I forced my body to move, but it wouldn't. The Zamafi opened its mouth wide and blew air on my face. It had plenty of tongues, only 4 upper and lower teeth, red glowing eyes and very long ears that exceeded the height of its head. It was pale and transparent. At least that's what I could remember. Immediately after it blew air on my face, I became pale and it disappeared. The owl flew away and I could move again. I ran home like never before, jumped the fence wall in fear, and barged into the living room, waking my family. When they saw me, some were surprised, while others looked at me in disbelief. Suddenly, The family elder came and warned no one to touch me. I tried to talk, but my voice was gone. All that could come out of my mouth was an odd, non-human-like sound. The elder immediately touched my forehead and walked around me, chanting words that were not to be said in vain. After he finished, I was able to talk and narrated everything that had happened. He then placed me in a pond of water, instructing me to stay in it for 2 hours. When it was time to come out, I should chant what he had chanted earlier. After completing all the instructions, I came back to my full senses and lived on normally. But I never made the mistake of whistling at night again. Since then, I've lived my life carefully, always aware of my surroundings. I've narrated my story to friends and anyone who would listen because I wouldn't want anyone to go through what I experienced. On a rainy Monday, I called a friend to help me with some ideas in my house. After we were done, I took my motorcycle and gave him and my cousin a ride home. When we reached his street junction, we stopped to have a last-minute conversation before going our separate ways. Suddenly, an old lady walked towards us. When she was a few meters away, she stopped. I noticed it and thought maybe she was just twitching or acting weird due to old age. I turned my attention away from her and continued our conversation, which probably felt like a long time to her. She just stood there playing eye contact games. I didn't know if she was trying to talk to us or not, so I asked my friend why she was just standing there holding 2 heavy gallons in her hands. He replied, "Maybe we're blocking her road home." But we noticed a short bridge she could have crossed faster to her home. It was nearer and not that sturdy, but also not that dangerous for her to trip off. I doubted my friend's explanation, so I continued talking with him for a while, dismissing the thought that we were in her way. Other people simply passed by without needing to say excuse me because the junction bridge was wide and we only occupied about 6/10 of it. So I said in a cocky voice, "Well, why wouldn't she just ask or say that we're blocking her way? She could have said we should excuse her, which I would have gladly done. But since she's just standing there and wondering about, I will also stay here." Looking at her distress and abnormal behavior, I decided to get out of the way to see if my friend was right. And to my surprise, he was. That's when I wondered if she behaves like that with everyone, or if it was just us experiencing it for the first time. She then walked past the first bridge and crossed the one we were standing by. But to my surprise, when she got to her front door, she didn't open it. She stood there holding the gallons as if she wasn't relieved to drop them at her destination. What creeped me out was how she stood and turned her gaze on us. Confused, we also set our gaze on her to understand her motives. But no, the whole thing turned into a staring competition as we stood near my bike on the other side of the road, and she stood near her front door a few meters away. Shivers and chills ran down our bodies. My friend immediately backed out and said we should probably go home, but my rebellious attitude was just fixed on her. I told him to go home. I wouldn't leave or turn my eyes away from her unless she did it first. He insisted that I should forget about her oddness and leave, but I stayed and continued the staring competition with my cousin. I began to notice that she had no light source in her compound. No back or front lights were on, not even the light in her room, as if she could see in the dark. She slowly tilted her head and gave us the coldest stare ever. She then slowly opened her front door as if trying to hide something from our view. She walked inside, and that was the last time we saw her. I quickly hopped on the bike with my cousin and left. But as we rode home, we asked ourselves, what was the secret behind her odd behavior? Was she hiding something? Maybe a human body? Was she holding a kid hostage in there? Why was she staring at us for so long when she could have just gone inside her room? Did she have some kind of idols inside that she keeps from public view? Was she even human? Or did she see something on us that prevented her from interacting with us? Was she a witch or just disturbed by old age? What made her the way she is? Did she need help with something or someone out of her life? Honestly, she gave us a series of creeps and chills. She scared us mentally so much that even when we wanted to sleep, we felt she would haunt us in our dreams. I believe there's a secret that needs to be uncovered in her life, but we're too scared to cross paths with her again. I'm sure she has a secret we shouldn't mess around with to find out. Up to this date, I get the creeps whenever I remember that experience. My advice to those who encounter such oddness from any old lady is to leave while you can before you drag yourself into something unexpected. We usually assume that old people aren't harmful, but you never know. You just never know. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy the stories, please hit the subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Don't forget to like and share. See you next time.